space invasion. Bring it up till I met you today. So
I keep having these memories of life here. But I can't tell if it's real.
can't do this alone.
Welcome to Z Cineplex, say your ultimate entertainment destination. Welcome to Z Cineplex, the home of entertainment, creativity, and cinematic excitement. Our channel is dedicated to bringing viewers a rich collection of engaging content that celebrates the world of movies, storytelling, and visual entertainment. Whether you're a passionate film enthusiast, someone who enjoys discovering new cinematic experiences, or simply looking for high-quality entertainment, Z Cineplex is designed to be your go-to destination. We strive to create content that is informative, enjoyable, and engaging for audiences of all ages, offering a unique blend of movie-related features, entertainment updates, insightful discussions, creative videos, and much more. Every upload is crafted with attention to quality, ensuring that our viewers receive an enjoyable experience that keeps them coming back for more. At Z Cineplex, we believe that cinema is more than just watching films. It's about experiencing emotions, exploring stories, appreciating creativity, and connecting with people who share the same passion for entertainment. Our mission is to build a vibrant community where movie lovers and entertainment enthusiasts can discover exciting content, share their opinions, and stay connected with the latest trends in the entertainment industry. We are committed to consistently improving our content, embracing new ideas, and delivering videos that entertain, inform, and inspire our growing audience. Whether you're here for movie highlights, entertainment discussions, reviews, cinematic moments, or fresh creative content, Z Cineplex promises an enjoyable journey filled with excitement, quality, and unforgettable entertainment. Join our community by subscribing, turning on notifications, and becoming part of the Z Cineplex family as we continue to explore the fascinating world of cinema and entertainment together. Thank you for your support, and welcome to Z Cineplex, where every video brings entertainment to life. Captain Marvel is a 2019 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Carol Danvers. Captain Marvel, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the 21st film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, and the 7th installment of Phase 3. The film was directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, who co-wrote the screenplay with Geneva Robertson. From a story developed by Robertson, Boden, and Fleck. The film stars Brie Larson as Carol Danvers alongside Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Jimin Hansu, Lee Pace, Lashana Lynch, Gemma Chan, Annette Bening, Clark Gregg, and Jude Law. Set primarily in 1995, the story follows Carol Danvers, a former U.S. Air Force pilot who has become a powerful Kree warrior known as Verse. After returning to Earth during an intergalactic war between the Kree Empire and the shape-shifting Skrulls, she gradually uncovers the truth about her forgotten past, her extraordinary cosmic abilities, and the deception surrounding the conflict. As she embraces her true identity as Captain Marvel, Carol emerges as one of the universe's most powerful heroes, laying the foundation for her pivotal role in the future of the MCU. Development on the film began as early as May 2013, with Marvel Studios seeking to introduce Carol Danvers into the MCU. The project was officially announced by Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige in October 2014, marking the studio's first female-led superhero film. Screenwriters Nicole Perlman and Meg LeFauve were hired in 2015 after presenting separate story pitches that incorporated elements from Roy Thomas and Gil Kane's classic Kree Skrull War comic book storyline. Brie Larson was officially cast as Carol Danvers during San Diego Comic-Con 2016, while Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck joined as directors in April 2017. Geneva Robertson Doherty later rewrote the screenplay, with additional contributions from Boden and Fleck, while the supporting cast was assembled ahead of production. Location filming began in January 2018, with principal photography taking place between March and July 2018 across California and Louisiana. To authentically recreate the film's mid-1990s setting, Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg were digitally de-aged using advanced visual effects, allowing them to portray younger versions of Nick Fury and Phil Coulson. Captain Marvel premiered in London on February 27, 2019, before its theatrical release in the United States on March 8, 2019. The film was both a critical and commercial success, grossing over $1.13 billion worldwide against a production budget of approximately $150 to $175 million. Making it the first female-led superhero film to surpass the $1 billion milestone at the global box office. It finished as the fifth highest-grossing film of 2019 and became one of the highest-grossing superhero films ever released. Critics generally praised the film for Brie Larson's charismatic performance, its nostalgic 1990s atmosphere, visual effects, action sequences, humor, and its fresh perspective on the MCU's cosmic mythology. Although some reviewers considered its narrative formulaic, audience reception was largely positive despite the film's audience score on Rotten Tomatoes being impacted by a coordinated review bombing campaign before and shortly after release. The film's events directly set up Avengers: Endgame, 2019, where Captain Marvel played a significant role in the battle against Thanos. A sequel, The Marvels, featuring Larson reprising her role alongside Tina Paris and Iman Vellani, was released on November 10, 2023. In 1995, on the advanced Kree homeworld of Hala, elite Star Force warrior Verse struggles with recurring nightmares and fragmented memories of a mysterious older woman, while also suffering from complete amnesia regarding her past. Gifted with extraordinary energy manipulation abilities, Verse is trained by her commanding officer and mentor Yon-Rogg, who constantly instructs her to suppress her emotions and rely on discipline rather than instinct. She is also guided by the Supreme Intelligence, the sentient artificial intelligence that governs the Kree Empire, which repeatedly warns her that unchecked emotions make her vulnerable. Although Verse is a loyal member of Star Force, she feels disconnected from her fellow soldiers and is haunted by flashes of a forgotten life that she cannot explain. Verse joins Star Force on a mission to the planet Dorfa to rescue undercover Kree operative Solar, who has been captured by the Kree's longtime enemies, the shape-shifting Skrulls. However, the rescue is revealed to be a trap orchestrated by Skrull Commander Talos, who captures Verse and uses advanced memory-probing technology to search her subconscious for information about a mysterious woman and a powerful energy source. During the interrogation, Talos uncovers fragmented memories pointing toward the planet Earth. Exploiting a moment of weakness, Verse escapes captivity, fights her way through the Skrull vessel, steals an escape pod, and crash lands inside a Blockbuster video store in Los Angeles, California. Her unexpected arrival attracts the attention of SHIELD agents Nick Fury and Phil Coulson, who initially believe they are investigating a routine extraterrestrial incident. Their investigation is interrupted when disguised Skrulls launch an attack in a crowded train station. During the ensuing chase through the streets and public transit system of Los Angeles, Verse retrieves the memory crystal that Talos had extracted from her, while Fury discovers firsthand that Skrulls possess the ability to perfectly imitate any individual. The encounter ends with Fury killing a Skrull disguised as Coulson, leaving him shocked by the reality of alien life. Assuming the identity of Fury's superior, Director Keller, Talos manipulates SHIELD into pursuing Verse while secretly instructing Fury to earn her trust. Reluctantly partnering together, Fury and Verse analyze the recovered memories and travel to the classified Project Pegasus facility, located at a former United States Air Force installation. There they uncover classified files revealing that Verse is actually Carol Danvers, an accomplished U.S. Air Force test pilot who was officially declared dead in 1989 after a mysterious aircraft explosion during an experimental engine test. Carol recognizes Dr. Wendy Larson, the scientist leading the project, as the woman who repeatedly appears in her dreams. Before they can investigate further, Toulouse and SHIELD forces converge on the facility. Realizing that Keller is actually Toulouse in disguise and questioning everything he has been told, Fury chooses to side with Carol. Together they escape aboard a prototype aircraft, accompanied by Lawson's seemingly ordinary orange cat, Goose, who had been hiding inside the facility. Following clues from Carol's recovered memories, Fury and Carol travel to Louisiana, where they reunite with Carol's closest friend and former Air Force wingwoman, Maria Rimbaud, and Maria's young daughter Monica. Maria confirms that Carol Danvers was once a fearless, determined pilot who shared an inseparable friendship with her before the accident that supposedly claimed her life. As Carol spends time in Maria's home, more memories gradually return, strengthening her connection to her forgotten identity. Soon afterward, Toulouse arrives without weapons or hostile intentions, revealing a startling truth. The Skrulls are not truthless conquerors as the Kree had claimed but desperate refugees fleeing genocide during a decades-long war started by the Kree Empire. Toulouse explains that Dr. Wendy Larson was secretly Mar-Vell, a renegade Kree scientist who had betrayed the Empire to help the Skrulls find a safe home. To prove his story, Toulouse plays the recovered cockpit recording from the day of Carol's crash. The footage reveals that Jan Rog murdered Mar-Vell to seize her experimental light-speed engine before she could destroy it. Refusing to let the technology fall into Kree hands, Carol intentionally destroyed the engine, causing an enormous energy explosion. The blast infused her with limitless cosmic energy derived from the Tesseract, granting her incredible powers while simultaneously erasing her memories. The Kree subsequently abducted Carol, implanted a device to suppress her true abilities, and manipulated her into believing she was a naturally born Kree warrior named Verse. Working together, Carol, Fury, Toulouse, and Maria locate Mar-Vell's hidden cloaked laboratory orbiting Earth aboard an abandoned space station. Inside they discover numerous Skrull refugees, including Toulouse's wife Soren and daughter, who have been living in secret while awaiting a safe haven. They also recover the Tesseract, revealed to be the energy source that powered Mar-Vell's experimental light-speed engine. Before they can escape, Starforce arrives under Jan Rag's command and captures Carol, bringing her before the Supreme Intelligence through a neural interface. During the confrontation, Carol finally realizes that the Kree have manipulated her entire life, convincing her that her powers were gifts they controlled rather than abilities she earned herself. Rejecting the Supreme Intelligence's psychological manipulation, she destroys the Kree inhibitor implanted in her neck, unleashing the full extent of her cosmic powers. Now operating at her true potential, Carol easily overwhelms Starforce, mastering flight, unleashing devastating photon energy blasts, and displaying nearly invincible strength. As an intense battle erupts aboard the laboratory in Earth's orbit, Fury attempts to secure the Tesseract with Goose, only to discover that the seemingly harmless cat is actually a Flurkin, an extremely dangerous alien species possessing multidimensional tentacles hidden inside its mouth. Goose effortlessly devours several Kree soldiers before swallowing the Tesseract for safekeeping. During the chaos, Goose scratches Fury across his left eye, causing an injury that permanently blinds the eye. Meanwhile, Carol single-handedly destroys incoming Kree missiles and obliterates an entire fleet of ballistic warheads launched by Ronan the Accuser, forcing Ronan and his warship to retreat rather than face her overwhelming power. Returning to Earth, Carol confronts Jan Rog, who challenges her to prove herself in hand-to-hand combat without using her powers. Refusing to play by the rules imposed upon her throughout her life, Carol immediately incapacitates him with a single photon blast before sending him back to Hallett with a warning for the Supreme Intelligence that she intends to end the Kree's oppression and free others from their control. After bidding farewell to Maria, Monica, and Fury, Carol departs Earth alongside Toulouse and the surviving Skrull refugees to help them locate a new permanent homeworld. Before leaving, she gives Fury a specially modified pager powered by Tesseract energy, instructing him to contact her only during the gravest emergencies. Inspired by Carol's heroism and recognizing that Earth may face increasingly dangerous extraterrestrial threats, Fury begins drafting plans for a global defense initiative to recruit extraordinary individuals, naming it the Avengers Initiative after Carol's former Air Force call sign, Avenger. In the mid-credits scene, set in 2018 after Thanos' snap, the pager is activated and monitored by the surviving Avengers at the Avengers compound until Carol suddenly appears, asking where Fury is. In the post-credits scene, Goose casually jumps onto Fury's desk and regurgitates the Tesseract, revealing where the Infinity Stone had been hidden all along. Brie Larson stars as Carol Danvers, verse Captain Marvel, a former United States Air Force fighter pilot who is transformed into one of the universe's most powerful superheroes after absorbing energy from the Tesseract during an experimental light-speed engine explosion. Following the accident, Carol is abducted by the Kree Empire, stripped of her memories, and reprogrammed into believing she is a Kree warrior named Verse, serving as a member of the elite military unit Star Force. Throughout the film, she gradually uncovers the truth about her human past and embraces her true identity as Captain Marvel. Larson described Carol as someone who is deeply committed to justice and truth while serving as a bridge between Earth's humanity and the wider cosmic universe. She characterized the character as fearless, emotionally guarded, fiercely independent, impulsive, and occasionally hot-tempered, qualities that make her an exceptional warrior but also present personal challenges. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige stated that Larson was chosen because she could convincingly portray both Carol's extraordinary cosmic power and her emotional vulnerability. To prepare for the physically demanding role, Larson underwent approximately 9 months of intensive training, including boxing, wrestling, judo, weightlifting, stunt work, and military-style conditioning, while also visiting Nellis Air Force Base, meeting active duty pilots including Brigadier General Jeannie Leavitt and Thunderbirds pilot Major Stephen Del Bagnoa to better understand the mindset and discipline of Air Force personnel. McKenna Grace portrays Carol as a determined 13-year-old during flashbacks, while London Fuller plays her at the age of 6. Samuel L. Jackson portrays a younger Nick Fury, decades before becoming the legendary director of SHIELD. At this point in his career, Fury is a mid-level bureaucrat and investigator whose skepticism about extraterrestrial life is shattered after meeting Carol Danvers. The events of the film fundamentally shape his future worldview and inspire him to begin preparing Earth for larger cosmic threats. Unlike his appearances in later MCU films, Fury still has both eyes and has not yet developed the hardened personality audiences associate with the character. Jackson described this version of Fury as more optimistic, humorous, and open-minded, with Carol becoming one of the first people he truly trusts. For the film's 1995 setting, Marvel Studios used groundbreaking digital de-aging visual effects to make Jackson appear approximately 25 years younger, marking the first time the technology had been used throughout an entire feature film for a leading actor. Ben Mendelsohn plays Talos, the shape-shifting leader of the Skrull refugees, as well as his human disguise, SHIELD. Director Keller, initially presented as the film's primary antagonist, Talos is ultimately revealed to be a compassionate leader desperately searching for a safe home for his people after years of persecution by the Kree Empire. Mendelsohn differentiated the two identities by portraying Keller with the stern American accent inspired by former U.S. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, while giving Talos his natural Australian accent to emphasize the character's warmer and more approachable personality. Extensive prosthetic makeup and practical effects, requiring several hours of application each day, were combined with visual effects to create Talos's alien appearance. Mendelsohn also portrays several of Talos's various transformations, while Emily Osri and Abigail Osri appear as one of Talos's surfer girl disguises and Wayne Henry portrays another of his Kree soldier identities. Jimon Hounsou reprises his MCU role as Korat, depicting the Kree warrior years before his appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy 2014, serving as Starforce's second-in-command. Korat is portrayed as an exceptionally loyal and disciplined soldier who has not yet evolved into the more experienced enforcer seen later in the MCU. Hounsou described this younger version as still developing into the hardened warrior audiences already knew while retaining his serious and humorless personality. Lee Pace returns as Ronan the Accuser, a powerful Kree military commander who commands the Accuser Corps during the Kree-Skrull War. Set years before the events of Guardians of the Galaxy, the film portrays Ronan before his transformation into the fanatical extremist seen later in the MCU, presenting him instead as a respected military leader carrying out the Kree Empire's orders while maintaining a complex relationship with Starforce and Yon-Rogg. Lashana Lynch portrays Maria Rambeau, Carol Danvers' closest friend, former Air Force wingwoman, and one of the few people who never gave up hope that Carol was more than the official reports claimed. Flying under the callsign Photon, Maria is depicted as a courageous pilot, devoted single mother, and emotional anchor for Carol after she begins recovering her memories. Lynch described Maria as resilient, independent, and emotionally strong, emphasizing that her friendship with Carol is built upon mutual respect, trust, and equality rather than competition. To prepare for the role, Lynch met with active-duty female Air Force pilots, particularly those balancing military careers with motherhood, helping shape Maria into an authentic representation of women serving in the armed forces. Maria is also the mother of Monica Rambeau, whose future becomes significant within the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe. Gemma Chan portrays Minnesota Rava, Starforce's elite sniper and one of the Kree Empire's most accomplished soldiers. Confident, highly skilled, and fiercely competitive, Minnesota Rava grows increasingly resentful of Carol's remarkable abilities and privileged position within Starforce. Chan explained that the character sees herself as the team's top operative before Carol's arrival, creating professional jealousy that gradually develops into open hostility. Annette Bening plays dual roles as Mar-Vell, Dr. Wendy Lawson in the Supreme Intelligence. Mar-Vell is a renegade Kree scientist who secretly lives on Earth under the alias Dr. Wendy Lawson, developing an experimental light-speed engine powered by the Tesseract while attempting to help the Skrulls escape the Kree Empire. After her death, the Supreme Intelligentsia, the vast artificial intelligence governing Kree civilization, adopts Lawson's appearance when communicating with Carol, exploiting her lingering emotional connection to manipulate her. The filmmakers intentionally reimagined Mar-Vell as a female character rather than the male comic book version, allowing Carol to have a female mentor whose influence would become central to her personal growth. Bening portrayed the Supreme Intelligence with regal authority while giving Lawson a warm, compassionate, and understated personality. Clark Gregg reprises his role as Phil Coulson, appearing as a young rookie SHIELD agent partnered with Nick Fury during one of the earliest missions of his career. Gregg described this version of Coulson as less experienced, less cynical, and more eager than the confident veteran audiences had previously seen throughout the MCU. Like Samuel L. Jackson, Gregg underwent extensive digital de-aging to convincingly portray a version of the character approximately 25 years younger. Jude Law portrays Yon-Rogg, the commander of Starforce and Carol's Kree mentor, publicly presenting himself as a supportive teacher and trusted ally. Yon-Rogg is ultimately revealed to be responsible for manipulating Carol after Mar-Vell's death, keeping her emotionally controlled and loyal to the Kree Empire. Law described Yon-Rogg as a deeply devoted military leader who possesses unwavering faith in the superiority of Kree civilization and views Carol as both his greatest student and his most valuable weapon. His complicated mentor-student relationship with Carol becomes the emotional centerpiece of the film's central conflict. In later interviews, Law stated that although he enjoyed making the film, he wished he had been given greater freedom to portray Yon-Rogg with more humor and theatricality. The remaining members of Starforce include Algenis P. Tilde copywriter Soto as expert marksman Atlas and Rune Tempt as the physically imposing warrior Branchar. Akira Akbar portrays 11-year-old Monica Rambeau, while Azari Akbar appears as the younger 5-year-old Monica during flashbacks. Sharon Blynn plays Soren, Telos's wife, with Auden L. Ophuls and Harriet L. Ophuls portraying their daughter. Chico Maru appears as undercover Kree operative Salar. Vixa Hay portrays a Dwarfan scientist. Robert Kaczynski appears as a biker known as the Dawn, Colin Ford portrays Carol's brother Steve Danvers, and Kenneth Mitchell plays their father, Joseph Danvers, Carol's beloved cat Goose, inspired by the Marvel Comics character Chewie, is renamed after Nick Goose Bradshaw from Top Gun, 1986. To better reflect Carol's Air Force background, Goose is secretly revealed to be a Flerken, a dangerous alien species that resembles an ordinary cat while possessing extra-dimensional tentacles and the ability to store objects within a pocket dimension. The character was portrayed by 4 specially trained cats: Reggie, Archie, Rizzo, and Gonzo, each selected for different behaviors and scenes. Among the film's notable cameo appearances, real-life U.S. Air Force pilots Matthew Spider Kimmel and Stephen Cajun Del Bagno appear as themselves. Following Del Bagno's death before the film's release, Captain Marvel was dedicated to his memory. Kelly Sue DeConnick, whose comic book run significantly influenced Carol Danvers' modern characterization, appears briefly as a passerby at a train station. Stan Lee makes his final posthumously released Marvel film cameo as himself, rehearsing lines for his appearance in the 1995 film Mallrats, serving as a heartfelt tribute to the legendary Marvel co-creator. The film's mid-credits scene also features Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Captain America, Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, Hulk, and Don Cheadle as James Rhodey Rhodes, War Machine, reprising their MCU roles as the surviving Avengers awaiting Carol Danvers' arrival following Thanos' snap. Development of Captain Marvel began as early as May 2013, when Marvel Studios' internal creative committee and writing room started exploring a screenplay centered on Carol Danvers, then best known in Marvel Comics by her superhero identity Miss Marvel, before later adopting the mantle of Captain Marvel. At the time, Marvel Studios was actively expanding the scope of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, and evaluating opportunities to introduce more prominent female superheroes into the franchise. Later in 2013, executive producer Louis D'Esposito confirmed that the studio was seriously considering producing a female-led superhero film and pointed to several potential candidates from Marvel Comics, including Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Pepper Potts, and Peggy Carter. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige subsequently explained that if the studio were to produce its first female-led MCU film, he preferred introducing a completely new central character whose origins had not yet been explored on screen. Carol Danvers emerged as the ideal choice because her transformation into Captain Marvel provided an opportunity to tell a large-scale origin story while simultaneously expanding the cosmic mythology established by films such as Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014. By August 2014, Feige confirmed that active development on the project was underway and noted that fans consistently asked about a Captain Marvel film more frequently than they did about potential sequels such as Iron Man 4 or even Avengers: Infinity War. During Marvel Studios' landmark Phase 3 presentation in October 2014, Feige officially announced Captain Marvel as the studio's first female-led superhero feature film, confirming that the adaptation would focus specifically on Carol Danvers rather than previous comic book holders of the Captain Marvel title. The project was initially scheduled for release on July 6, 2018, with Feige revealing that development had been progressing for nearly as long as Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange. One of the principal creative challenges, according to Feige, involved balancing Carol's grounded human experiences as an Air Force pilot with her immense cosmic abilities and the intergalactic scope of her story. He also emphasized Marvel's desire to recruit filmmakers capable of bringing a fresh perspective to the character, with female directors being strongly considered, although the studio maintained that creative vision would ultimately be the deciding factor rather than gender alone. In February 2015, Marvel adjusted the film's release schedule to November 2, 2018, to accommodate the addition of Spider-Man: Homecoming to the MCU slate. Around the same time, Feige disclosed that Carol Danvers had briefly appeared in an early draft of Avengers: Age of Ultron, 2015. But the studio deliberately removed the cameo because it believed audiences should first experience her complete origin story before she joined the larger ensemble of Avengers heroes. In April 2015, Marvel announced that Nicole Perlman, who had co-written Guardians of the Galaxy and Megalofov, known for Inside Out, 2015, had been hired to write the screenplay after each independently presented compelling but different interpretations of Carol Danvers. Rather than choosing between the two approaches, Marvel paired the writers together, believing their ideas complemented one another. The duo began work shortly afterward, with the screenplay drawing inspiration from several comic book storylines, particularly Roy Thomas and Gil Kane's landmark Skrull War saga, while simultaneously reimagining Carol's origin to fit within the established MCU continuity. Future Marvel writers Jessica J.L., who later served as head writer of She-Hulk, Attorney-at-Law, 2022, and A.C. Bradley, who became head writer of What If, 2021a 2024, also pitched their own versions of the project during its early development. Perlman and LaFauve approached Carol Danvers not simply as Marvel's first female cinematic lead but as a fully realized human character whose emotional journey would define the film. Both writers acknowledged that adapting one of Marvel's most powerful heroes presented unique storytelling challenges, as they wanted to avoid the so-called Superman problem of an invincible protagonist lacking meaningful vulnerability. Instead of allowing Carol's overwhelming strength to define her, they focused on her emotional resilience, self-doubt, determination, and capacity for growth. The creative approach was also influenced by discussions surrounding women in traditionally male-dominated professions and research suggesting that many young girls abandon interests such as science and technology after early setbacks. This inspired the screenplay's central thematic message that failure should not be viewed as weakness but rather as an essential part of discovering one's true potential. According to the writers, Carol's journey is fundamentally about learning to embrace her own strength instead of allowing others to define her limitations. Throughout 2015, Marvel Studios actively searched for a director capable of balancing grounded character drama with large-scale cosmic spectacle. Acclaimed filmmaker Ava DuVernay held discussions with Marvel regarding both Captain Marvel and Black Panther, 2018, while numerous other filmmakers also met with studio executives. Feige explained that Marvel intentionally delayed casting Carol Danvers until the screenplay's direction had been firmly established, believing that defining the character's personality, emotional arc, and role within the MCU was more important than securing a lead actress quickly. Producer Jeremy Lacham echoed this philosophy, emphasizing that getting the character right first remained the studio's highest priority. In October 2015, Marvel revised its release calendar again, moving Captain Marvel to March 8, 2019, to make room for Ant-Man and the Wasp, 2018. By 2016, the project entered a new stage of development. Feige announced that Marvel expected to reveal both its director and leading cast within the year while reaffirming that the film would chronicle Carol Danvers' transformation into Captain Marvel. Independent filmmaker Emily Carmichael emerged as one of several directing candidates before Academy Award-winning actress Brie Larson became the overwhelming favorite for the title role. Larson's casting was officially announced during San Diego Comic-Con 2016. Where she was introduced to enthusiastic fans as the MCU's newest superhero. Initially uncertain about committing to a long-term franchise, Larson later explained that she ultimately accepted the role because she believed the character represented everything she valued, including empowerment, representation, and progress, while providing younger audiences with the type of heroic role model she wished had existed during her own childhood. She also viewed Carol as an opportunity to combine the emotional depth of dramatic acting with the excitement of blockbuster filmmaking, allowing the superhero to feel more grounded and relatable than many previous comic book protagonists. During the screenplay's evolution, Marvel made several significant changes to Carol Danvers' comic book mythology. Nicole Perlman revealed that Carol's original comic book origin had been substantially reworked because it shared too many similarities with DC Comics' Green Lantern, particularly regarding the transfer of alien powers. Instead, the filmmakers created an original MCU backstory centered on the Tesseract, connecting Captain Marvel directly to the Infinity Saga while reinforcing the importance of the Infinity Stones across the franchise. Feige emphasized that Carol's emotional vulnerabilities and personal limitations would become just as important as her extraordinary powers. Despite her ultimately being introduced as one of the most powerful characters in the MCU. Producer Nate Moore also noted that the film intentionally avoided the traditional superhero origin formula in which the protagonist gains powers early in the narrative and gradually learns to master them. Instead, Carol begins the story already possessing extraordinary abilities but lacking knowledge of her true identity, making her personal journey one of self-discovery rather than simply learning to become a superhero. Marvel's search for a director continued until late 2016, with Feige acknowledging that the process was taking longer than originally expected because the studio wanted potential filmmakers to respond to a fully developed screenplay rather than a rough concept. While Marvel remained interested in hiring a female director, Feige clarified that the primary requirement was finding someone who genuinely connected with Carol Danvers and understood the themes of identity, empowerment, and personal growth central to the film. He also praised Kelly Sue DeConnick's acclaimed comic book run for modernizing Carol's characterization and noted that her interpretation strongly influenced many creative discussions surrounding the adaptation. By the end of 2016, Perlman and LaFauve had completed a comprehensive screenplay treatment, allowing Marvel to move into final meetings with prospective directors during early 2017. In February 2017, Nicole Perlman reflected on the unusually long development process, explaining that the screenplay underwent numerous revisions because Marvel Studios was simultaneously restructuring the broader narrative of Phase 3, particularly following changes involving Avengers, Infinity War, 2018, and Avengers Endgame, 2019. She revealed that the writing team repeatedly created multiple versions of the story as Marvel executives refined Carol Danvers' pleased within the evolving MCU timeline. This iterative development process lasted for well over a year, with each revision ensuring that the character's introduction would complement the larger Infinity Saga without compromising her individual story. Perlman also stressed that the writers deliberately rejected stereotypes often associated with female superheroes, insisting that Carol's femininity should never be portrayed as something she succeeds despite, but rather as an integral part of her strength, confidence, and identity. This philosophy ultimately became one of the defining creative principles behind Captain Marvel, establishing Carol Danvers as both a powerful cosmic hero and one of the MCU's most emotionally grounded protagonists. Following the official hiring of Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck as directors in April 2017, Captain Marvel entered full pre-production with Marvel Studios placing a strong emphasis on crafting a character-driven origin story that would introduce Carol Danvers as one of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's most powerful heroes. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige explained that Boden and Fleck were selected after months of meetings in which they presented a compelling vision for the character that prioritized emotional depth, humanity, and personal identity over spectacle alone. The filmmaker's extensive experience balancing intimate character relationships with larger dramatic narratives in both independent films and television convinced Marvel that they were the ideal choice to bring Carol Danvers to the screen. Feige emphasized that the studio wanted audiences to connect with Danvers as a relatable, flawed, and determined individual before embracing her extraordinary abilities, ensuring that the emotional core of the story remained the primary focus even amid large-scale visual effects and cosmic action sequences. Although principal photography was initially targeted to begin in January 2018 at Pinewood Atlanta Studios in Fayette County, Georgia, the production schedule was later adjusted, with filming expected to commence in February and eventually moving to March 2018 as pre-production expanded and location planning evolved. During July 2017, Marvel significantly expanded the film's scope by confirming that Samuel L. Jackson would reprise his role as a much younger Nick Fury, marking the first time audiences would see the iconic SHIELD director decades before the events of the main MCU timeline. Jackson's return was enthusiastically supported by Brie Larson, who had developed a strong working relationship with him while filming Kong, Skull Island, 2017, and believed Fury's presence would strengthen Carol Danvers' origin story. Later that month, during Marvel Studios' presentation at the San Diego Comic-Con International, Kevin Feige officially revealed that Captain Marvel would be set in the 1990s, making it the first MCU film to primarily take place during that decade. He also announced that the shape-shifting alien Skrulls would serve as the film's principal antagonists, allowing Marvel to draw inspiration from the classic Marvel Comics storyline Kree Skrull War, 1971. Rather than adapting the storyline directly, the filmmakers used its mythology as the foundation for an intergalactic conflict that would shape Carol Danvers' journey. Feige explained that placing the story in the 1990s allowed Danvers to exist as the MCU's singular superhero during that era, while naturally explaining why she had been absent from later events already depicted in the franchise. Executive producer Jonathan Schwartz revealed that the 1990s setting had been conceived during the earliest stages of development because it gave Captain Marvel a unique historical significance within the MCU timeline, while also enabling the filmmakers to explore familiar organizations such as SHIELD from an earlier perspective. Schwartz noted that while elements of paranoia from the comic storyline would remain, the film would avoid adapting the comic's political themes surrounding the Anti-Superhero Act, instead using the centuries-long Kree-Skrull conflict primarily as mythological background that informed Carol's personal story rather than dominating it. Industry commentators immediately drew comparisons to period-set superhero films such as Captain America, The First Avenger, 2011, and Wonder Woman, 2017, with many noting that the 1990s setting naturally raised intriguing questions about Captain Marvel's disappearance before the events of the previously released MCU films. Also in July 2017, the California Film Commission awarded Marvel Studios a $20.7 million tax credit, one of the largest incentives granted to a feature film at the time. The incentive applied to the first $100 million spent on qualified in-state production expenses and encouraged Marvel to make California, particularly the Los Angeles area, the film's primary production base rather than relying exclusively on Georgia. Executive producer Louis D'Esposito welcomed the decision, noting that Marvel Studios' headquarters and many of its post-production facilities were already located in California, allowing the company to streamline production logistics, visual effects coordination, and editorial work more efficiently. Marvel ultimately planned to spend approximately $118.6 million on production within the state, resulting in an estimated net expenditure of $97.8 million after the tax incentive was applied. Jonathan Schwartz further explained that Los Angeles had become an increasingly attractive filming location because relatively few major blockbuster productions were shooting there, giving the city a fresh visual identity that audiences had not recently associated with large-scale superhero films. By mid-August 2017, screenwriter Geneva Robertson-Doherty joined the project to oversee the screenplay after Megla Flov departed to co-direct Disney Animation's Gigantic. Although LaFleur and Nicole Perlman both left the project during this period, Perlman confirmed that many of the central story concepts developed in their earlier drafts, including Carol Danvers' emotional arc and much of the film's overall narrative structure, would remain intact in the final screenplay. Robertson-Doherty described her version of Captain Marvel as an energetic action comedy, comparing its tone to the earlier draft she had written for Tomb Raider, 2018. Before that project evolved into a more dramatic film, she emphasized that maintaining Carol Danvers' wit, confidence, humor, and sharp personality was considered essential by everyone involved creatively. Robertson-Doherty also credited Ryan Fleck and particularly Anna Boden for helping shape Carol's distinctive voice, while explaining that the filmmakers consciously sought to create a superhero film that stood apart from Wonder Woman rather than attempting to imitate its approach. Their goal was to present a heroine whose strength came from emotional resilience, determination, vulnerability, intelligence, and humor, demonstrating the many different facets of female heroism. Kevin Feige also revealed that the filmmakers intentionally embraced the style of 1990s action cinema, with sequences inspired by classics such as Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 1991, an era of filmmaking that Marvel Studios had not previously explored within the MCU. Beyond its Earth-based settings, he confirmed that substantial portions of the story would unfold in outer space, expanding the franchise's cosmic mythology following films such as Guardians of the Galaxy. Boden and Fleck cited several influential films during development, including RoboCop, 1987, The French Connection, 1971, and The Conversation, 1974. Among these, RoboCop proved especially significant because of its exploration of identity, memory, and self-discovery, themes that closely paralleled Carol Danvers' own journey as she struggled to uncover the truth about her past while questioning the beliefs she had been taught. To ensure both scientific authenticity and comic book fidelity, Marvel also consulted Kelly Sue DeConnick, whose celebrated Captain Marvel comic series had helped redefine Carol Danvers for modern audiences, alongside quantum physicists Spy Wright and Michael Akis of the California Institute of Technology's Institute for Quantum Information and Matter, who advised the production on scientific concepts incorporated into the film's cosmic narrative. By October 2017, Marvel officially shifted the start of principal photography to March 2018, allowing additional time for casting, location preparation, and visual development. Feige also confirmed that Captain Marvel would play a pivotal role in establishing narrative elements that would directly lead into Avengers: Endgame, 2019, underscoring Carol Danvers' importance to the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Around the same time, Ben Mendelsohn entered negotiations to portray the film's primary antagonist, having previously collaborated with Boden and Fleck on Mississippi Grind, 2015. Mendelsohn had been the director's preferred choice almost from the moment they began developing the story, and he quickly accepted the role after discussing the project with them. In November 2017, Jude Law also entered negotiations to join the cast in what was initially believed to be the role of Walter Larson, Mar-Vell, although the true nature of his character remained undisclosed until the film's release. During this period, Keanu Reeves was reportedly approached for the same role but ultimately declined the offer. Casting continued into early 2018, with DeWanda Wise initially selected to portray Maria Rambeau, Carol Danvers' closest friend and fellow Air Force pilot, before later leaving because of scheduling conflicts and being replaced during production. At the same time, Marvel officially confirmed the casting of both Ben Mendelsohn and Jude Law, completing two of the film's most significant supporting roles as pre-production concluded and the project transitioned into principal photography. Location photography for Captain Marvel began in late January 2018, several weeks before the start of principal photography, with Brie Larson filming exterior scenes that immediately attracted widespread media attention. Photographs from the set revealed Larson wearing a green and black Kree Star Force uniform instead of Captain Marvel's iconic red and blue costume, leading to significant speculation among fans regarding the film's storyline. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige dismissed concerns about the leaked images, explaining that location filming naturally carried the risk of unauthorized set photography and that audiences were increasingly aware that behind-the-scenes images rarely reflected the context of the finished film. He emphasized that many scenes would be filmed on practical locations rather than entirely on soundstages, allowing the production to create a more grounded visual style despite the film's expansive cosmic setting. Casting continued throughout the early months of production. In February 2018, Gemma Chan officially joined the cast as Minnesota Rava, a skilled Kree sniper and member of the elite Star Force unit. The following month, DeWanda Wise, who had originally been cast as Maria Rambeau, departed the project because of scheduling conflicts with her Netflix series She's Gotta Have It. Within days, Lashana Lynch entered negotiations for the role and was officially confirmed before the end of March. Marvel simultaneously announced the return of several familiar Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, with Jim Hounsey reprising Korat, Lee Pace returning as Ronan the Accuser, and Clark Gregg once again portraying a younger Phil Coulson. Because all three characters had previously died in later set MCU films, Their appearances highlighted the advantages of the film's 1990s setting and provided an opportunity to further develop characters whose earlier appearances had been comparatively limited. Marvel also confirmed the casting of Algenis Perez Soto, Rune Tamt, and McKenna Grace, while revealing that the screenplay had evolved through contributions from multiple writers, including Anna Boden, Ryan Fleck, Liz Flav, Carly Mange, Meg Lefauve, Nicole Perlman, and Geneva Robertson. During production, Marvel Writers Program participant Beck Smith also performed a series of uncredited script revisions that refined dialogue and character interactions. Principal photography officially commenced on March 19, 2018, in Los Angeles, California, primarily at Sony Pictures Studios. Under the working title Open World, executive producer Jonathan Schwartz explained that the temporary title reflected the filmmaker's belief that Carol Danvers' story resembled an open-world video game, capable of exploring numerous directions across Earth and the cosmos while gradually uncovering the protagonist's hidden past. One of the earliest major sequences filmed recreated a 1986 carnival, which was constructed at the Jim Hall Racing Club in Oxnard, California, establishing several key flashback moments in Carol's childhood. The production became one of several high-profile studio projects benefiting from California's expanded film tax incentive program, contributing to an 11.7% increase in on-location feature film production across Los Angeles during the first quarter of 2018. At the region's strongest growth in several years, filming progressed across numerous locations throughout California in order to capture the film's combination of military realism, nostalgic 1990s settings, and expansive action sequences. Planned filming at Shaver Lake, near Fresno, originally scheduled for April, was postponed until mid-May because of production scheduling adjustments. By late April, Kevin Feige revealed that nearly half of principal photography had already been completed, reflecting the production's efficient pace. During this period, Annette Bening joined the cast in a role that Marvel intentionally kept secret, generating considerable speculation regarding her character's identity until the film's release. Additional photography took place throughout the greater Los Angeles area, including Simi Valley, Edwards Air Force Base, and Lucerne Valley, with many of these locations standing in for military installations and desert environments central to Carol Danvers' backstory as a U.S. Air Force pilot and test pilot. In late June 2018, the production relocated for approximately 2 weeks to Baton Rouge in New Orleans, Louisiana, where additional action sequences, practical effects work, and location photography were completed before filming returned to California. One of the production's more unusual challenges involved Carol Danvers' companion, Goose the cat. Because Brie Larson is allergic to cats, the filmmakers minimized her interaction with live animals whenever possible. Although several trained cats portrayed Goose during filming, the production also relied extensively on a highly detailed animatronic and puppet version of the character for scenes requiring prolonged physical interaction. The lifelike practical model allowed Larson to perform naturally without triggering allergic reactions while also providing visual effects artists with accurate physical references for later digital enhancements. Meanwhile, scenes depicting the interior of the Quinjet were filmed using the existing Quinjet set originally constructed for Marvel Television's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., allowing the production to maintain continuity with the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe while reducing construction costs. After nearly 4 months of filming, principal photography officially concluded on July 6, 2018. Bringing an end to one of Marvel Studios' largest productions centered on a first-time superhero lead. The film was photographed by acclaimed cinematographer Ben Davis, who returned to the Marvel Cinematic Universe after previously serving as director of photography on Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014, Avengers, Age of Ultron, 2015, and Doctor Strange, 2016. Davis captured the film primarily using the large-format Realxa 65 digital camera system, taking advantage of its exceptional image resolution and wide dynamic range to emphasize both the vibrant cosmic environments and the detailed textures of the film's elaborate costumes and production design. He believed the larger sensor rendered Captain Marvel's colorful costumes more naturally while providing an epic cinematic scale appropriate for the character's introduction into the MCU. Because much of the story takes place during the 1990s, Davis sought to create a distinctive visual identity that separated Captain Marvel from previous Marvel films. Rather than relying solely on digital color grading during post-production to evoke the era, he experimented with various methods of achieving an authentic period aesthetic directly in camera. Initial attempts to soften the image digitally produced results that felt artificial, while testing vintage Cooke Panchro and Canon K35 lenses proved impractical because they were incompatible with the large-format Alexa 65 camera system. To overcome this limitation, Davis collaborated closely with Dan Sasaki, Panavision's senior vice president of optical engineering, to design a custom set of newly engineered lenses that replicated the subtle softness, lower contrast, and optical imperfections of classic cinema lenses while remaining fully compatible with the Alexa 65. Although these lenses were originally intended only for the Earth-based scenes set during the 1990s, Davis became so impressed with their organic appearance that he ultimately employed them for several close-up sequences set in outer space as well. The resulting visual style blended nostalgic warmth with modern large-format cinematography, giving Captain Marvel a unique aesthetic that simultaneously evoked classic 1990s action films and the grand cosmic scale of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Following the completion of principal photography in July 2018, Captain Marvel entered an extensive post-production phase that combined additional photography, editorial refinement, visual effects development, and sound design to complete Marvel Studios' first female-led superhero film. Additional photography was conducted during late November 2018, with set photographs confirming that Brie Larson and several cast members had returned to film new material, revised action sequences, and character moments that further strengthened the film's pacing and emotional continuity. As is customary with Marvel Studios productions, the additional photography was not intended to substantially alter the story but rather to refine narrative beats, improve transitions between scenes, and enhance character development. Around the same period, Marvel released the film's first theatrical poster in early December 2018, officially revealing that screenwriters Joe Shrapnel and Dana Waterhouse had contributed to the film's story, while Jacob Schaefer had performed screenplay revisions during development. Schaefer had previously been recruited by Marvel Studios to write Black Widow, 2021, reflecting the studio's collaborative approach in shaping its interconnected cinematic projects. In February 2019, shortly before the film's theatrical release, Marvel officially confirmed that Annette Bening portrayed the Supreme Intelligence, the artificial intelligence governing the Kree Empire, while Jude Law was revealed to be playing Yon-Rogg, the Star Force commander whose true motives had been intentionally concealed throughout the film's marketing campaign. The film was edited by Elliot Graham and Debbie Berman, with Berman serving as co-editor on her third consecutive Marvel Cinematic Universe film following Spider-Man: Homecoming, 2017, and Black Panther, 2018. The editorial process was carried out using Avid Media Composer software operating in the Avid DNxHD codec on Apple computer systems, providing the production with an efficient workflow for managing the film's large volume of footage, visual effects shots, and multiple editorial revisions. Berman first became involved with the project while still working on Spider-Man: Homecoming. Shortly after directors Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck joined the production, and officially signed on to Captain Marvel during her first week editing Black Panther. She later explained that the editorial process focused heavily on balancing the film's emotional character arc with its large-scale action sequences, ensuring that Carol Danvers' personal journey remained the driving force behind the narrative. Supporting Graham and Berman was an extensive editorial department that included first assistant editors Jessica Backless and Kimberly Boritz, second assistant editors Basuki Jawano and Christos Voutsinas, assistant editor Joe Galdo, and numerous additional editorial staff responsible for organizing footage, preparing visual effects turnovers, and coordinating the increasingly complex post-production pipeline. Berman praised the size and efficiency of the editorial team, noting that it allowed her and Graham to devote greater attention to storytelling, pacing, and character development rather than technical workflow management. The film featured one of Marvel Studios' largest visual effects efforts to date, with work shared among an international network of leading visual effects companies, including Industrial Light Magic, ILM, Animal Logic, Digital Domain, Framestore, Lola VFX, Luma Pictures, Rise, Rising Sun Pictures, Scanline VFX, Trickster, Cantina Creative, and Elastic. Each studio specialized in different aspects of the production, collectively delivering hundreds of complex digital environments, creature effects, spacecraft, energy simulations, and character transformations that brought the film's cosmic setting to life while maintaining visual continuity with the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe. Among the production's most technically ambitious achievements was the extensive digital de-aging of Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg, performed by Lola VFX. Because the film takes place in 1995, Jackson, who was nearly 70 years old during production, had to be convincingly transformed into a version of Nick Fury approximately 25 years younger, resembling his appearance at around 45 years of age. Rather than relying on a body double, as had been done in some previous de-aging efforts, Marvel chose to have Jackson perform every scene himself, making Captain Marvel the first major Lola VFX project to digitally rejuvenate an actor throughout an entire feature film without substituting another performer. To achieve this, the visual effects team studied numerous films from Jackson's career, including Pulp Fiction, 1994, Die Hard with a Vengeance, 1995, Jurassic Park, 1993, Loaded Weapon 1, 1993, and 187, 1997. Certain references were ultimately discarded because Jackson's appearance differed significantly, for example, the facial hair and hairstyle used in Pulp Fiction or the intentionally older appearance of his character in Jurassic Park. According to Lola VFX supervisor Trent Claus, the final youthful appearance drew most heavily from 187, supplemented by elements from Die Hard with a Vengeance and Loaded Weapon 1. During filming, both Jackson and Gregg wore numerous facial tracking markers that allowed artists to anchor meticulously handcrafted digital facial features over their live-action performances. Much of this compositing work was completed using Autodesk Flame, with a team of approximately 40 senior compositors supported by 15 to 20 junior artists. Lola ultimately created nearly 500 individual visual effects shots, approximately 385 of which appeared in the final theatrical cut, making the de-aging process one of the film's defining technological accomplishments. Additional visual effects work was divided among several specialized studios. Trickster developed the initial appearance of Carol Danvers' binary energy powers, establishing the glowing cosmic visual language that would later be expanded during the film's climax. The studio also created many of the impossible movements performed by Goose the Cat, seamlessly blending practical footage with digital animation whenever real cuts could not execute specific actions. Industrial Light Magic later expanded upon Trickster's binary effects during the film's final battle, drawing inspiration from classic Marvel Comics artwork, modern video games, and Japanese anime to create Captain Marvel's increasingly powerful cosmic abilities. ILM also handled Goose's hidden alien Flerken anatomy, designing the creature's tentacled interior while preserving the illusion that Goose remained an ordinary house cat until the story's major reveal. Animal Logic collaborated closely with ILM on the creation of the Supreme Intelligence's virtual environment, taking artistic inspiration from the architecture of the Louvre Abu Dhabi and fractal-based imagery previously explored during the studio's work on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017. Because these sequences were filmed inside an entirely white practical set without traditional green or blue screens, Animal Logic painstakingly rotoscoped every actor from the original footage before placing them into fully computer-generated environments. To preserve visual realism throughout this process, the studio even created digital hair simulations for Brie Larson and Annette Bening, ensuring that fine strands of hair remain natural against the completely synthetic backgrounds. Several other visual effects vendors each contributed major sequences throughout the film. Luma Pictures led the effects work for the memorable Los Angeles train chase, internally nicknamed the French Connection sequence in homage to the classic 1971 thriller. Because the scene was filmed across multiple locations throughout Los Angeles, Luma digitally stitched together separate pieces of footage to create the illusion that the chase occurred along one continuous railway line. Digital Domain handled the intricate scroll shape-shifting transformations, developing seamless transitions between alien and human forms. Rise created the exterior landscapes of the Kree homeworld Hala, while Framestore supervised the large-scale battle on the planet Torfa. Rising Sun Pictures produced the holographic interfaces displayed on Kree forearm devices, the digital interior of the Project Pegasus hangar, and the exterior shots of the Quadjet. Scanline VFX specialized in the film's aerial combat, including high-speed flight sequences and the catastrophic explosion through which Carol Danvers acquires her cosmic powers. Meanwhile, Elastic designed the film's stylized end title sequence, and the third floor provided extensive pre-visualization and post-visualization services that helped the filmmakers plan complex action scenes before principal photography and refine them during post-production. As filming on Captain Marvel concluded, Marvel Studios also produced a special mid-credits sequence designed to bridge directly into Avengers: Endgame, 2019. Rather than being directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, the scene showing Captain Marvel responding to Nick Fury's pager and meeting the surviving Avengers for the first time was directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, who were simultaneously completing production on Endgame. Boden later described the sequence as a direct narrative handoff to the Russo brothers' film, ensuring a seamless transition between the two interconnected stories and formally introducing Carol Danvers into the wider Avengers team. During the final stages of post-production, Marvel Studios also chose to honor the memory of Stan Lee, who passed away on November 12, 2018, just months before the film's release. Because Captain Marvel was the first Marvel Cinematic Universe film completed after Lee's death, the studio redesigned its iconic opening Marvel Studios logo by replacing the usual montage of superheroes with a compilation of Lee's memorable MCU cameo appearances. The tribute concluded with the black screen displaying the simple message "Thank you, Stan." Kevin Feige explained that the filmmakers deliberately chose to celebrate Lee's extraordinary legacy at the very beginning of the film rather than include a traditional memorial during the closing credits, allowing audiences to begin the cinematic experience by recognizing the man whose imagination and creativity had helped inspire generations of Marvel stories. Marvel Studios launched an extensive global marketing campaign for Captain Marvel, making it one of the studio's largest promotional efforts prior to the release of Avengers: Endgame, 2019. The campaign was designed not only to introduce Carol Danvers to audiences unfamiliar with the character but also to establish her as one of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's most powerful and important heroes. The film's earliest promotional material appeared during San Diego Comic-Con 2017, where Marvel unveiled exclusive concept art showcasing Carol Danvers' redesigned costume, the Kree Star Force, Skrulls, and several cosmic environments that hinted at the film's large-scale science fiction setting. Later that year, attendees at Cine Europe were given the first official look at Brie Larson in costume as Carol Danvers, generating significant excitement among exhibitors and industry professionals while marking the actress's public debut as Captain Marvel. Throughout 2018, Marvel continued releasing promotional photographs, character posters, behind-the-scenes featurettes, magazine covers, and exclusive interviews that emphasized the film's 1990s setting, its Air Force influences, and Carol's journey from fighter pilot to cosmic superhero. The film's first official trailer premiered on September 18, 2018, with Brie Larson unveiling it during an event at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., before its simultaneous debut on ABC's Good Morning America. The trailer immediately attracted widespread attention for combining grounded military drama with large-scale cosmic spectacle, introducing audiences to Carol Danvers' mysterious past, the Kree-Skrull conflict, Nick Fury's younger appearance, and several action sequences that highlighted Captain Marvel's extraordinary powers. One of its most memorable shots featured Carol crashing through the roof of a blockbuster video store, instantly establishing the film's nostalgic 1990s setting. Critics praised the sequence as an effective visual shorthand for the era, while many compared the sunlit Air Force training scenes to classic aviation films such as Top Gun, 1986. Reviewers also highlighted the trailer's more restrained visual style compared with many previous Marvel productions, noting its emphasis on practical military environments and character-focused storytelling rather than non-stop visual effects. Many commentators described the preview as a confident introduction to Marvel Studios' first female-led superhero film, with Samuel L. Jackson's narration providing familiarity for longtime MCU audiences while Carol Danvers' personal mystery served as the emotional hook. Despite the overwhelmingly positive response, the first trailer also generated considerable online discussion and criticism. Some viewers believed that the overall plot remained intentionally vague, while others questioned the now-famous scene in which Carol punches an elderly woman on a moving train before Marvel later revealed that the woman was actually a disguised Skrull. A separate online debate emerged regarding Carol's relatively serious facial expressions throughout the trailer, leading to widespread commentary both supportive and critical about the expectation that female superheroes should smile more frequently on screen. That discussion became one of the most talked about aspects of the marketing campaign, with many journalists defending Marvel's decision to portray Carol as a disciplined Air Force officer rather than emphasizing humor in the early promotional material. Commercially, the trailer proved enormously successful, accumulating approximately 109 million views during its first 24 hours, making it one of the most-watched debut trailers in history at the time and demonstrating substantial worldwide interest in the character's cinematic introduction. Marvel released the film's second official trailer on December 3, 2018, during halftime of Monday Night Football on ESPN, airing nationally during the game between the Washington Redskins and the Philadelphia Eagles. The new footage expanded significantly on the story, providing audiences with a clearer understanding of Carol Danvers' fractured memories, the intergalactic war between the Kree and Skrulls, and her gradual discovery of her true identity. The trailer also addressed several of the criticisms directed at the first preview by revealing that the elderly woman Carol attacks is actually a Skrull infiltrator, featuring more scenes of Brie Larson smiling, and placing greater emphasis on Carol's relationships with Nick Fury, Maria Rambeau, and the members of Star Force. Critics praised the trailer's stronger narrative focus and expanded mythology, while noting that it balanced spectacular space battles and super-powered action with quieter emotional moments that highlighted Carol's humanity. Some reviewers compared the film's tone to a superhero interpretation of John Carpenter's Starman, 1984. Arguing that its themes of identity and self-discovery distinguished it from many other comic book films. However, others observed that Marvel continued to keep much of the supporting cast and the film's major story twists deliberately hidden to preserve surprises for audiences. Marvel further expanded its international marketing campaign during CCXP, Comic-Con Experience, in São Paulo, Brazil, on December 8, 2018. Where Brie Larson appeared alongside Marvel Studios executives to present exclusive footage, an extended version of the trailer, and a specially designed event poster available only to attendees. The presentation generated enthusiastic reactions from one of the world's largest comic convention audiences and significantly boosted international awareness of the film. By January 2019, market research published by Box Office Pro indicated that Captain Marvel ranked among the most anticipated upcoming releases according to its trailer impact tracking service. Approximately 66–70% of surveyed viewers who had recently watched the trailer expressed interest in seeing the film in theaters, placing it second only to Avengers: Endgame and recording one of the highest audience interest scores ever measured by the service. Because of this exceptionally strong performance, the tracking period was extended to begin 12 weeks before release, earlier than the service's standard 10-week monitoring window. In January 2019, Marvel Studios also partnered with the crowdfunding platform GoFundMe to launch the #CaptainMarvel Challenge, a charitable initiative inspired by the earlier Black Panther Challenge. The campaign sought to raise funds to purchase movie tickets, concessions, and transportation for girls participating in the Greater Los Angeles chapter of Girls, Incorporated, giving young audiences the opportunity to watch the film free of charge. The initiative was launched after Brie Larson publicly encouraged fans on social media to organize a similar campaign celebrating female representation in superhero cinema. Thousands of supporters contributed to the fundraiser, helping provide screenings for numerous girls and reinforcing the film's broader message of empowerment and inclusion. Throughout the international press tour, Brie Larson consistently emphasized issues of representation, diversity, and inclusivity within the entertainment industry. She stated that she intended to use every aspect of the promotional campaign, including interviews, magazine covers, fashion choices, and public appearances to advocate for broader representation in Hollywood while continuing to speak out against sexual harassment and inequality in the film industry. Larson's approach reflected the wider cultural conversation surrounding the release of Captain Marvel, positioning the film not only as a major blockbuster but also as an important milestone for female-led superhero stories within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel's promotional campaign reached one of its largest audiences during Super Bowl in February 2019, when a new 30-second television commercial aired during the championship broadcast, built around the inspirational slogan "Higher, Further, Faster." The advertisement combined rapid-fire action, emotional character moments, and dynamic footages of Captain Marvel's cosmic powers while reinforcing the film's themes of perseverance and self-belief. Television critics widely praised the commercial as one of the strongest advertisements shown during the Super Bowl broadcast, noting its energetic editing and memorable message. CBS reportedly charged approximately $5.25 million for every 30-second advertising slot during the game, making the commercial one of the most expensive components of Marvel's promotional campaign. As part of its cross-promotional partnerships, Alaska Airlines unveiled a specially designed Captain Marvel-themed Boeing 737-800 featuring large exterior artwork of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel alongside the film's logo, while the aircraft's winglets displayed images of Goose the cat. The aircraft was officially introduced at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport before entering commercial service on its inaugural flight to Orange County, California, becoming one of Marvel Studios' most distinctive transportation-based marketing collaborations. Near the end of February, Marvel also embraced internet culture by live-streaming an hour-long video of Goose the cat on the studio's official YouTube channel. The humorous livestream, featuring Goose calmly sitting, grooming, sleeping, and occasionally interacting with the camera, quickly became popular among fans and served as a lighthearted promotional event that further elevated the character's popularity before the film's theatrical release. Captain Marvel had its world premiere on February 27, 2019, at Cineworld Leicester Square in London, England, where the film was screened for members of the press, industry executives, invited guests, and fans. The event was attended by Brie Larson, directors Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, producer Jonathan Schwartz, and much of the principal cast, marking the beginning of the film's worldwide promotional tour. Following its London debut, the film held its North American premiere on March 4, 2019, at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood, Los Angeles. The Hollywood premiere featured one of the most memorable opening ceremonies for a Marvel Studios production, including a dramatic flyover by the United States Air Force Thunderbirds. The tribute honored Major Stephen Del Bagno, a Thunderbird demonstration pilot who had worked closely with Brie Larson during the film's preparation by providing guidance on military aviation and the experiences of fighter pilots. Del Bagno was killed in a training accident in April 2018, and Marvel Studios, Larson, and the U.S. Air Force dedicated the ceremonial flyover to his memory, recognizing his contributions of the authenticity of Carol Danvers' portrayal as a U.S. Air Force pilot. The film was theatrically released in the United States on March 8, 2019, a date intentionally chosen to coincide with International Women's Day, reinforcing the film's themes of empowerment, perseverance, and female representation. The release marked a historic milestone for Marvel Studios as Captain Marvel became the Marvel Cinematic Universe's first female-led solo superhero film, arriving after more than a decade of interconnected storytelling within the franchise. Disney and Marvel launched the film simultaneously across thousands of theaters worldwide, with premium presentations available in IMAX, RED 3D, 3D, Dolby Cinema, and other premium large-format venues. The IMAX release featured expanded presentation formats in selected sequences, allowing audiences to experience several scenes with enhanced image quality and a taller aspect ratio designed specifically for IMAX screens. The film's theatrical release date underwent several significant scheduling changes during its development. When Marvel Studios first announced the project in October 2014, Captain Marvel was originally scheduled for release on July 6, 2018. However, following Sony Pictures' agreement with Marvel Studios to integrate Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Disney revised its release calendar in February 2015, moving Captain Marvel to November 2, 2018 to accommodate the release of Spider-Man: Homecoming, 2017. Later, in October 2015, Marvel again reorganized its Phase 3 schedule after the development of Ant-Man and the Wasp, 2018, resulting in Captain Marvel being shifted to its final release date of March 8, 2019. The additional development time allowed Marvel Studios to further refine the screenplay, complete the extensive visual effects work, and strategically position the film immediately before the release of Avengers: Endgame, 2019, where Carol Danvers would play a significant role. Internationally, Captain Marvel received a near-simultaneous worldwide rollout across most major markets, although its release in Pakistan was delayed by approximately 4 weeks. At the time, the Walt Disney Company's South Asia division, headquartered in India, had not yet granted local distribution rights for the Pakistani market. The delay prompted widespread speculation online that the situation was connected to heightened political tensions between India and Pakistan during early 2019. However, Nadeem Mandviwala, head of Disney's South Asia operations, publicly rejected those claims, describing them as baseless and clarifying that the postponement resulted from distribution and licensing issues rather than political considerations. Following the resolution of those arrangements, the film was eventually released in Pakistani cinemas several weeks after its initial worldwide debut. Within the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe, Captain Marvel serves as the 21st feature film and forms part of Phase 3 of the franchise. Although released after Avengers: Infinity War, 2018, the film is primarily set in 1995, making it one of the earliest chronological entries in the MCU timeline. By exploring the origins of Carol Danvers, Nick Fury, Project Pegasus, and the early activities of the Skrulls and Kree, the film provides important historical context for numerous storylines established throughout previous Marvel films while simultaneously introducing one of the franchise's most powerful heroes ahead of her pivotal appearance in Avengers: Endgame. The strategic placement of Captain Marvel immediately before Marvel Studios' culmination of the Infinity Saga allowed the film to function both as a standalone origin story and as a crucial narrative bridge connecting the MCU's past and future. Captain Marvel emerged as one of the biggest commercial successes of 2019, grossing $426.8 million in the United States and Canada and $701.6 million in international markets, for a worldwide total of $1.128 billion against an estimated production and global marketing cost of approximately $300 million. The film became the fifth highest grossing film of 2019 worldwide and marked a historic achievement for both Marvel Studios and the superhero genre. On April 2, 2019, less than a month after its theatrical debut, Captain Marvel surpassed the $1 billion milestone at the global box office, becoming the first female-led superhero film in history to reach that benchmark. It also became the 7th Marvel Cinematic Universe film, the 19th Walt Disney Studios release, and the 38th film overall to cross the billion-dollar threshold. Based on its exceptional theatrical performance, strong home entertainment revenue, television licensing, and merchandising, Deadline Hollywood estimated the film generated a net profit of approximately $414 million after accounting for production expenses, worldwide marketing costs, distribution fees, participations, and other financial expenditures. This placed Captain Marvel fifth on the publication's annual list of the most valuable blockbusters of 2019, highlighting its outstanding financial return for Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company. Audience demand for the film was evident well before its release. When advance ticket sales began on January 7, 2019, Captain Marvel recorded one of the strongest pre-sale performances in Marvel Studios history. According to Fandango, its first 24 hours of advance ticket sales ranked as the third highest ever for a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, trailing only Avengers, Infinity War, 2018, and Black Panther, 2018. On Atom tickets, the film similarly ranked second, behind only Infinity War. Fandango also reported that Captain Marvel significantly outpaced the advance ticket sales of other recent superhero blockbusters, including Wonder Woman, 2017, and Aquaman, 2018, demonstrating enormous audience anticipation for Marvel Studios' first female-led superhero feature. Released in North America on March 8, 2019, the film earned $61.4 million on its opening day, including $20.7 million from Thursday night preview screenings. At the time, the preview gross represented the fifth largest Thursday preview for a Marvel Studios film and the second highest ever for a March release, behind only Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, 2016. During its opening weekend, Captain Marvel earned an impressive $153.4 million, comfortably exceeding industry expectations. The debut became the third largest March opening weekend in history at the time, behind Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice and Disney's Beauty and the Beast, 2017, while also ranking as the seventh highest opening weekend in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The performance established a new industry record for the largest opening weekend ever achieved by a film co-directed by a woman, with Anna Boden sharing directing duties alongside Ryan Fleck. The record stood for more than 4 years before eventually being surpassed by Barbie, 2023, directed by Greta Gerwig. The film demonstrated exceptional staying power throughout its domestic theatrical run. During its second weekend, Captain Marvel remained at number 1 at the North American box office, adding $69.3 million, which represented one of the strongest second weekend performances ever recorded for a March release, trailing only Beauty and the Beast. In its third weekend, the film earned $35.2 million, finishing in second place behind Jordan Peele's Us. Over the following weeks, it continued to perform consistently, ranking third, fifth, sixth, and fourth before climbing back to second place during its eighth weekend, aided by renewed audience interest generated by the release of Avengers: Endgame, 2019, in which Carol Danvers played a major role. By the conclusion of its domestic run, Captain Marvel had accumulated $426.8 million, making it the sixth highest grossing film of 2019 in the United States and Canada. Internationally, Captain Marvel delivered equally impressive results, opening strongly across virtually every major overseas market. On its first day of release, the film earned $5.9 million in South Korea, $1.7 million in France, and an additional $2.51 million from Thursday night preview screenings in China, representing the fourth largest MCU preview performance in that market at the time. Within its first 2 days of international release, the film had already accumulated $44 million, including $9.1 million from South Korea, $3 million from Brazil, $2.9 million from France, and $2.5 million from Australia. In China, The film posted an outstanding $34 million opening day, becoming one of the largest opening days ever recorded for a superhero film in the country. Across all overseas territories, Captain Marvel generated an extraordinary $302.4 million during its international opening weekend, making it the fifth largest overseas opening weekend in cinema history at the time. Its strongest opening markets included China, $89.3 million, South Korea, $24.1 million, the United Kingdom, $16.8 million, Brazil, $13.4 million, which represented the second largest opening weekend in Brazilian box office history, and Mexico, $12.8 million, where it ranked among the country's biggest openings ever. The film continued to perform exceptionally well throughout its international run. After 12 days in release, its leading overseas markets were China, $135.7 million, South Korea, $37.5 million, the United Kingdom, $32.9 million, Brazil, $26.1 million, and Mexico, $25.7 million. By the time the film surpassed $1 billion worldwide on April 2, 2019, these totals had grown substantially, with China contributing $152.3 million, South Korea $43.7 million, the United Kingdom $43.3 million, Brazil $34.5 million, and Mexico $31.8 million. Strong performances across Europe, Latin America, Asia Pacific, and other international territories ultimately resulted in an overseas gross of $701.6 million, meaning nearly 62% of the film's worldwide earnings originated outside North America. The combination of exceptional domestic longevity, record-breaking international openings, and sustained global audience interest firmly established Captain Marvel as one of Marvel Studios' most commercially successful films and one of the defining box office achievements of 2019. Captain Marvel received generally positive reviews from critics, with particular praise directed toward Brie Larson's leading performance, the film's themes of empowerment and self-discovery, its 1990s setting, the chemistry between Larson and Samuel L. Jackson, and the emotional focus brought by directors Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. At the same time, a number of reviewers criticized its conventional Marvel origin story structure, uneven pacing, and relatively straightforward villains. On the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 79% based on 545 critical reviews, with an average rating of 6.8. The site's critical consensus states, packed with action, humor, and visual thrills, Captain Marvel introduces the MCU's latest hero with an origin story that makes effective use of the franchise's signature formula. On Metacritic, which assigns a weighted average score, the film received 64 out of 100 based on 56 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Industry observers noted that while the film was positively received overall, it did not reach the near-universal critical acclaim earned by several of Marvel Studios' highest-rated releases, such as Black Panther, 2018, Iron Man, 2008, or Avengers, Endgame, 2019. Publications including The New York Times characterized the overall response as broadly favorable, though somewhat more divided than many recent MCU entries, while outlets such as Hindustan Times observed that critics consistently praised Larson's performance even as some expressed reservations about the film's occasionally convoluted narrative and familiar superhero formula. A significant portion of the critical praise centered on Brie Larson's portrayal of Carol Danvers, with many reviewers commending her understated, determined, and emotionally resilient performance. Critics appreciated that Larson portrayed Carol as a confident yet vulnerable protagonist whose journey focused less on discovering new powers than on reclaiming her identity and overcoming manipulation. Many reviewers also highlighted the film's emphasis on perseverance, independence, and personal growth rather than traditional romance or external validation. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times praised both Larson and directors Boden and Fleck, arguing that the filmmakers demonstrated that even a large-scale visual effects blockbuster could benefit from a deeply human approach to storytelling. He wrote that the directors understood character and nuance while creating emotional moments that elevated the spectacle beyond conventional superhero filmmaking. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone awarded the film 4 out of 4 stars, describing Larson's performance as layered, emotionally intelligent, and refreshingly free from stereotypical portrayals of female superheroes. He argued that Larson brought genuine depth and humanity to Carol Danvers, transforming what could have been a standard action role into a compelling and inspiring character. Similarly, Anthony Lane of The New Yorker praised Larson for injecting a sense of enjoyment and personality into the genre, writing that while superhero films often emphasize responsibility and sacrifice, Captain Marvel reminded audiences that extraordinary abilities could also be a source of excitement and fun. Many critics also praised the film's supporting cast, particularly Samuel L. Jackson, whose younger version of Nick Fury became one of the film's most widely celebrated elements. Reviewers highlighted the chemistry between Larson and Jackson, noting that their partnership provided much of the film's humor and emotional warmth. Jackson's performance offered audiences a more optimistic, less world-weary version of Fury than seen in later Marvel films, while the extensive digital de-aging visual effects were widely regarded as remarkably convincing. Richard Roeper of the Chicago Sun-Times awarded the film 3.5 out of 4 stars, describing it as an entertaining origin story not only for Carol Danvers but also for Nick Fury, whose role expanded the mythology of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in meaningful ways. A.O. Scott of The New York Times similarly praised the strength of the ensemble cast, including Annette Bening, Jude Law, and Ben Mendelsohn, while appreciating that the film avoided excessive runtime and maintained a relatively brisk pace compared with many modern superhero blockbusters. The film's direction also received generally favorable responses. Owen Gleiberman of Variety acknowledged that Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck were unable to fully replicate the intimate independent filmmaking style that had defined their earlier work, but he nevertheless praised their ability to adapt successfully to Marvel Studios' blockbuster formula. He argued that the directors infused the film with enough